Donald Trump just deleted a post that may have exposed his biggest legal vulnerability yet. The Epstein files dropped. Trump reacted. Then he scrambled to erase the evidence. This isn't about politics. This is about what happens when someone with unchecked power realizes the walls are closing in. From a prosecutor's perspective, this is the kind of behavior that tells you everything you need to know. On January 3, 2025, a federal court in the Southern District of New York released nearly 1,000 pages of previously sealed documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. These aren't new allegations. These are court filings, evidence that's been under seal for years, testimony that's been hidden, names that powerful Epstein files resurface. What was released people hoped would never see daylight. And Trump's name appeared multiple times. Now, let's be clear about what we're dealing with here. These documents stem from a defamation lawsuit filed by Virginia Jew against Ghislaine Maxwell. The case settled years ago, but the underlying evidence, depositions, witness statements, flight logs, that material stayed sealed until now. The public narrative has been sanitized. Epstein had connections to powerful people. Trump knew Epstein socially, generic, vague, safe. Here's what they're not telling you. The documents released contain specific allegations linking Trump to Epstein's properties during the time period when the abuse was systematic and ongoing. We're talking about Mar-a-Lago. We're talking about Manhattan. We're talking about calendar overlaps that any competent prosecutor would immediately flag. Trump's first response: he posted a statement on Truth Social calling the release a witch hunt and claiming he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago years ago. Trump's reported reaction and online response: standard playbook. Deflect, rewrite history, control the narrative. But here's where it gets dangerous. Within hours, that post was deleted. Not edited, deleted. Think about this for a second. Why would someone delete a denial? Why would you erase your own defense from a prosecutor's perspective? There are only a few reasons you pull back a public statement that quickly. 1. Your lawyers told you it's legally reckless. 2. The statement contains a provable lie that could be used against you later. 3. You realize you just created evidence of consciousness of guilt. Let that sink in. When someone with Trump's media instincts, someone who has never backed down from a fight, who has attacked judges, prosecutors, witnesses, the FBI, the DOJ, when that person deletes a post defending himself, it means something serious just happened behind closed doors. Here's what they're not telling you about why this document release matters. The Southern District of New York is not a political body. It's one of the most elite and aggressive prosecutorial offices in the country. When SDNY unseals documents, the deleted post, timeline, and screenshots, it's not random, it's strategic. These files were unsealed because a federal judge ruled that the public interest outweighed privacy concerns. That's a legal standard. It requires evidence that transparency serves justice. What does that tell you? It tells you the court believes there's something in these documents the public has a right to know, something that impacts accountability for powerful individuals. Now, pair that with Trump's reaction. A prosecutor looks at deleted statements the same way we look at destroyed evidence. It shows awareness. It shows intent. It shows you knew something was wrong. If Trump truly had nothing to hide, if his relationship with Epstein was just social and decades ago, there would be no reason to delete a denial. But he did. And here's the kicker. We now have a record of that deletion. Screenshots exist. Archives exist. Internet doesn't forget. That means Trump just created a timeline prosecutors dream about. January 3rd, documents released. January 3rd, Trump posts denial. January 3rd, Trump deletes denial. That's consciousness of guilt in media and public interpretation real time. Let me walk you through what's actually in these documents because the media is burying the specifics. The JURV's Maxwell case included sworn testimony from multiple witnesses who were asked directly about Trump's presence at Epstein-related events and locations. One deposition specifically names Trump as being present at Mar-a-Lago during a party where underage girls were also in attendance. The witness describes Trump and Epstein as being very close during that time period. Another document references a 2016 deposition where a witness was asked about Trump's behavior at these gatherings. The answer was sealed until this month. Now, does this prove criminal conduct? Not by itself, but from a prosecutor's perspective, it establishes something critical: proximity and knowledge. If you're building a case, you need to show the defendant was in a position to know what was happening. You need to show access. You need to show relationship. These documents do exactly that. They also undermine Trump's central defense that he barely knew Epstein, that he cut ties early, that he wasn't involved. Flight. Political implications and narrative framing logs, party guest lists, phone records. These are the kinds of documents that don't lie, and they're now public. Compare this to how the DOJ handled other high-profile cases involving powerful men and allegations of sexual misconduct. When evidence connects someone to a criminal enterprise, even indirectly, prosecutors start building a conspiracy case. You don't need to prove someone committed the underlying crime. You need to prove they were part of the operation, that they benefited, that they knew. The deleted post, that's evidence of knowledge. Trump knew these documents existed. He knew what they said, and he knew his public denial wouldn't hold up. This is bigger than one case. What we're watching is a stress test of whether the rule of law applies to former presidents. Trump has spent years arguing he's immune from accountability, presidential immunity, executive privilege, absolute immunity. But the Epstein documents aren't about his time in office. They're about conduct that allegedly occurred before, during, and after his presidency. That, why deletions amplify controversy, means no immunity shield. That means no executive privilege defense. If DOJ or SDNY wanted to pursue this, the legal pathway is open. And here's what makes this particularly dangerous for Trump. Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. The co-conspirators have either flipped or been neutralized. That leaves one major unresolved question. Who else was involved? Prosecutors love that question because it creates pressure. It creates leverage. Right now, Trump is dealing with 4 separate criminal cases. Federal classified documents, federal January 6th, Georgia RICO, New York state fraud. Add Epstein into the mix and you're looking at a potential 5th investigation that touches the 3rd rail of American politics, sex crimes involving minors. No prosecutor wants to bring that case unless it's airtight. But if the evidence is there, if the documents support it, if witnesses corroborate it, this changes final analysis and take away the entire legal landscape. And Trump knows it. That's why he deleted the post. Because the smart move, the move any competent defense attorney would advise, is to say nothing. Don't confirm. Don't deny. Don't create evidence. But Trump couldn't help himself. He posted, then he panicked, then he erased. That's not the behavior of someone with a clean defense. That's the behavior of someone who just realized the exposure is real. Here's the truth they don't want you to understand. The Epstein files aren't going away. The documents are public. The legal scrutiny is intensifying, and Trump's deleted post is now part of the record. From a prosecutor's perspective, this is the kind of break in the case you wait for when the defendant does your job for you. When they create the evidence of guilt without you having to build it, this isn't over. This is just beginning. Stay informed because what happens next will determine whether power still shields the powerful or whether accountability finally catches up. More truth coming.